I really feel like when it comes to like your postpartum mental health experience, knowledge is power. It's really amazing that so many more women are being honest about like what their experiences were with postpartum mental health. I think that can be a little bit scary for women who are considering having kids to hear these stories about like how bad the mental health experience was postpartum, how some women really struggle. And where we're trying to turn the conversation is like, but it is preventable and it is treatable.
Hi, Caitlin. I am so excited for today's conversation because what you're building with Village Four is solving a real pain point for so many moms out there, and especially doing that raw, under-supported postpartum window. So I can't wait to learn more about it and dive in. So, yeah, can you maybe start by telling us a little bit more about your background and what Village Four does?
Hi, Laura. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me. Yeah, I'll dive in a little bit to my personal background and why I started Village 4. So I've spent the last 12 years specifically in marketing, but I love to join early stage startups. And I've been typically in like the CPG space. So I've worked on supplement brands. I've worked on running shoes. I've worked on fitness equipment brands. And then I became a mom. I realized there was like really this big gap in this postpartum experience where there wasn't really any tools just for moms after you have a baby and you're recovering and you're trying to figure out this new normal and you're trying to figure out what's going on with you and you learn this baby and learn how to take care of this new person. And it's a very challenging time. And a lot of moms really struggle, especially with their mental health during this postpartum window. And it was just so shocking to me that there were no tools that were direct to consumers specifically for postpartum and just specifically designed to really help moms and their mental health. And so for the past couple of years, we've been doing a lot of research and we decided to develop an app specifically for moms during that postpartum period. And we named it Village 4. And now we're working on building the business.
Is there like a specific moment or experience during your postpartum experience that kind of really made you realize that you needed this to exist?
For sure. So I experienced postpartum depression after I had my first. And I specifically remember it was like 3 weeks postpartum. I wasn't cleared for exercise yet, but I was just like, I need to go outside and go on a walk just by myself. My baby wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. It was like this very like emotional time where I just was trying to figure out how to be a mom and I did not know what I was doing at all. I didn't know what was normal. And so I went on this walk while my husband watched our baby. And I was like in the Apple Podcast app trying to search to find any piece of content that I could listen to help me figure out like if what I was experiencing was normal. And I looked for like 30 minutes and I couldn't find anything.
Wow.
And this was 5 years ago. I think the conversation has changed a
Mhm.
lot. I think more women are a lot more open. There's a lot more resources out there. But I just remember feeling so isolated and I just was so confused because it seemed like technology could really like bring me this content and help me learn how to be a mom and help me learn what was
Yeah.
normal and what was not normal when it comes to mental health postpartum and how to like really prevent postpartum depression and take care of myself. And I couldn't find anything. And the idea didn't start then, but 5 years later, my
Mhm.
co-founder and one of my good friends was going through postpartum anxiety. And I was like the first person to tell her like, hey, I think you're struggling and I think you should look into this and maybe try to get some help. And she had no idea that she was experiencing postpartum anxiety, but I saw it in her because I could see some of the similar struggles.
Yeah.
And after that, that was about 2 years ago. And both of us were like, hey, this is crazy that nothing exists to help moms understand what's going on with themselves and if what they're experiencing is normal or not. And so that was really when we decided, like, hey, there could be some really good technology that can help a lot of families out there. Why don't we just develop what would have helped us? And so that's kind of where we started was just like, if there was an app, what would we have wanted in it? And we started building from there. And that's kind of how we got started.
So, what exactly does it do for moms? Can you maybe tell us more about it?
Yeah, what was interesting, and this was really informed by like our personal journeys, is we eventually got a diagnosis from our OBGYNs who then said, this is your diagnosis. You have postpartum depression. In my co founder's case, she had postpartum anxiety. I'm going to put you on some medication. You need to
Mm.
leave here and go find a therapist. And as a new mom who's super sleep deprived and very
Yeah,
overwhelmed with like the
very.
new schedule of daily life already, both of us walked out of those appointments feeling like you just asked me to climb Mount Everest. Like I have to go find a therapist that I like that specializes in this thing. And that's a really hard journey to go on, finding a therapist
Mhm.
fits that fits for you, that fits your schedule, is accepts your insurance, and that specializes in postpartum mental health. Those are
Yeah.
a lot of like factors that kind of have to align. And also like there's a lot of tools I learned in therapy that actually were helping me, but I was really frustrated that they were kind of gate kept behind a therapist's office because they were really simple things like daily affirmations,
Mhm.
journaling, and like very simple things that I was just like, I think if I had just had this when I went home from the hospital, these tools in my toolkit, I think that I would be a little bit better off. So the app does a few things that are like really tried and true by therapists, by psychiatrists, by doctors. One is daily mood tracking. Part of the problem is when you're sleep deprived, when you're postpartum, you might not be able to recognize how long you've been feeling good or bad or sad or happy. So having that data of daily mood tracking specifically for postpartum can help you see trends. Oh, when my baby doesn't sleep, I feel really sad and angry and I have a lot of rage. That's a really like important data point to have about yourself. And then we can say like, hey, you've been feeling pretty sad and down for about a week. Like we're starting to trend lower. Like let's intervene earlier and get you the help that you need. And then directly within the app, you can connect to a therapist, a psychiatrist, someone who specializes in postpartum mental health disorders that already accepts your insurance. So we're trying to remove all of that roadblock for you of, hey, let's track your mental health. Let's give you some journaling tools. Let's give you some affirmation tools to help you process what's going on. And if we detect that you are trending maybe in a lower space, we can immediately get you the help that you need.
So, because also I think that's very important kind of for moms. Because first of all, if you haven't gone through this thing of like you actually have to track it daily sounds like why, but your brain doesn't work and days become weeks and you don't even know what day it is, if it's day or night. And it's a whole thing. You don't know
Yeah.
what you did yesterday.
Yeah.
It's hard. And
Yeah. And
yeah.
I think for women especially with mental health struggles, it's easy for us to talk ourselves out of how we're actually feeling.
And you don't
It's
want to be
really
labeled,
you don't
right?
want to be labeled.
Yeah.
And there's also this shame of like society kind of leads us to these expectations of, hey, this newborn phase is supposed to be the happiest time of my life.
Hmm.
And if your reality doesn't meet that expectation, that can be really hard to like bridge that gap of like saying that out loud and realizing that that's actually a really common experience. It might not be normal, but it's very common. And one of the issues I had was like, it took me like 5 or 6 months to realize something was going on with me. And part of it was like, I was talking myself out of like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, I'm okay. I'm just
Hmm.
adjusting. And then when I pulled into my doctor's appointment to talk to her about possibly having postpartum depression, I sat in the parking lot and I was like, this woman is going to think I'm crazy because I don't know how to articulate my symptoms. Like, I don't know how to tell her really what I'm feeling or how long I've been feeling that way. And
Yeah.
so if I had had the data to show her like this is what my mental health has been like in the past month and it's not great. Can we talk through that? I think it would have been a lot more helpful.
Also because it just makes you almost feel like you're a bad mom, right? Because like it's like this newborn bliss. That's what I was like. I was like,
Yeah.
who came up with newborn bliss? As soon as you don't
Yeah.
feel this bliss, you automatically feel like you're a bad mom because you're like, but I should feel this newborn bubble bliss and I'm so happy, but like
Yeah.
I'm struggling. Like that's how I felt. I was like, yes, I'm really excited and happy, but at the same time, like I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted to a point that I've never even experienced. I cannot control my emotions. But it's
Yeah.
also this weird feeling of like filling out the survey at the doctor's office. And you're kind of like, do I want to be honest? Even that. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's almost like being more anonymous and going through this app and just have the app kind of track it for a little bit and then indicate like, hey, maybe there is a problem. And then you being able to talk to a specialist right away versus having to admit to your OB that,
Yes.
hey, I mean, even that might be kind of uncomfortable and probably feels better to have something a little bit more anonymous.
Yeah, and for me, like, I don't know if you're the same way, but, like, sometimes technology just kind of can remove the social awkwardness. I had a really hard time
Exactly.
even expressing
Yeah.
to my husband that I was struggling. Like,
Hmm.
I didn't want to express to him, like, how bad my mental health was, and I realized, like, I think that a good piece of technology could have, like, bring that wall down for me a little bit, where one of the tools we built into the app that I really love is you have the option to share with your real life village, like,
Hmm.
how your mental health check-ins are going. So, I could add my spouse, like, as part of my profile, and if I choose to share, he could get updates of like, "Hey, Caitlin's been feeling really overwhelmed and sad for the past week." And it will give him tips on how to help me. And that kind of like
Amazing. Yeah.
lightens the mental load because I think a lot of problems with like when you become a new mom is like everyone's kind of looking to you of like how to care for the baby, including your
Yeah.
spouse or your partner. They want to be involved and
Yeah.
they want to help, but they are also coming into this clueless. And so a
Mhm.
lot of the times we find like a really supportive partner is still looking to the mom to say, "Tell me what to do and I'll help."
Mhm.
And that just adds to the mental load and adds to like the weight on your shoulders as a new mom. And so in the app, we've actually built a way for whoever you choose. It could be your sister, your
Mhm.
mom, your spouse, your partner, to get updates on you and to receive tips on like how they can really support you in that transition.
Does it also kind of maybe, like, educate them in terms of, like, what's going on in your body? Why postpartum depression is so common, like, what the hormones are doing? Because I think too this, like, typical, like, embarrassment would maybe not be there if my partner would have the proper explanation and really be able to
Sure.
understand and almost look at this as, like, "Okay, she's not crazy."
Yeah.
Because you truly feel
Yeah.
crazy, and it's easy
Yeah.
to say, like, kind of, like, put a label on it, right?
Yeah.
This is very common, and here's what's happening with your wife, partner, whatever, and here's how you can react and support her. So there are explanations in there for it? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
I think like, yeah, it's if you're struggling with postpartum mood disorders, or if you're just experiencing like the normal baby blues, which is where your hormones just fall off in those
Mhm.
first 3 weeks, like the emotions that you're feeling are not like a moral failure. It's a biological reaction to what your body just
Mhm.
went through. And so you can throw a textbook at a spouse or partner and say, like, read this, this will explain everything. But having like very easy to consume information in an app that will explain to them like what you are going through as a
Mhm.
mom is a very different experience, right? Like it's much more easy for them to like consume that information and to get educated on how to help you.
That's amazing. So you mentioned earlier that, like, basically, if tracks for a while, that it's not looking good and you might need to get some help, that you get connected with already pre approved therapists. So, how does that work? Is it because, like, when I sign up for the app, that it asks me for the insurance and then automatically matches me with therapists that are covered? Or, yeah, how does that look like?
Yeah, so as part of your onboarding, and you can always add this
Okay.
later on to your profile, you can add your insurance information. And then we are working on developing a large network of specialists who are specifically trained in postpartum mood disorders. I think like your typical experience might be like you go to your OBGYN today, they might give you the Edinburgh assessment score, which is the survey that you take at your 6 week appointment. And if your score is within a certain range, they may say, "Hey, I'm going to diagnose you with postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression. You should go on to psychologytoday.com and try to find a therapist." And then you go, okay, psychology.com, search for a therapist, and it will pull hundreds of mental health professionals in your area, which is amazing. But trying to narrow down who actually has specialized in postpartum disorders is quite difficult. And it's hard to find someone who might be a good match for you. And so we just wanted to take away that like really tough barrier that you have to jump over.
So that's kind of where you feel like the traditional like maternity care is kind of broken because it just gives you the survey based on the survey that everyone gets. You just
Yeah.
basically are sent off on your own to this portal of a million different options. And how in the world are you going to find time to read reviews and figure out who's best?
Right. And like What was fascinating to me when we started Village 4 and started diving into like what does the system look like currently? We felt that it was so siloed based on our personal experiences. And then we dove in and we realized like, wow, that survey was actually developed in England in the 1980s. And we're still using it today, but there's some language in there that's really kind of tricky because one of the questions specifically will ask you, have you been crying for no good reason? And when I read that question, I was like a little offended because I was like, I feel like every time I cry, there's a really good reason
Yeah.
that I'm crying. And I don't know how to answer that. And so we found a brilliant team of researchers in America at Virginia Commonwealth University, and they have rewritten the survey
Okay.
to be more updated, to have some kinder language, and to still accurately assess like how your mental health is doing. So we have put that updated Edinburgh survey within the app. And so that's valuable because you can take that at any point in the comfort of your own home. You can take it weekly. And that is what an OBGYN can use to diagnose you. That's what a psychiatrist can use to diagnose you. So if you do decide to go to an in-person appointment, you can say, here is my Edinburgh score for the past 3 weeks, and it is definitely trending in a bad direction. So we had to incorporate some sort of clinical tool to help professionals in the medical space, like
Sure.
have a good assessment score to
Yeah.
diagnose you if you do decide that you want to go in person and see like your provider.
So that's basically the reason also that it would be quicker, right? I would assume you would get help faster in such a crucial time because instead of probably also you come home from your disappointment, your first action is not going to be to go and find one. You're going to have to sit with that first and you're
Yeah.
overwhelmed. So you might
Yeah.
not look for another few days. It gets worse.
Right.
And then you're going to go to hopefully find one, might not be the right fit, and then they first tell you, okay, now you're going to have to keep track, right? So if you use your app, you already come to your provider and you have the records and they can get you help faster.
Yeah, exactly. And I really feel like when it comes to like your postpartum mental health experience, knowledge is power. And I think that it's really amazing that so many more women are being honest about like what their experiences were with postpartum mental health. And I think that can be a little bit scary for women who are considering having kids to hear these stories about like how bad the mental health experience was postpartum, how some women really struggle. And where we're trying to turn the conversation is like, but it is preventable and it is treatable. And so if you just can have a tool where you can have the data on yourself and how you're doing, you will have all the power in your hands to get help if you need it. And you might not need it, but the app will still be really useful to help you process this incredible life change you're going through, help you journal, help you express gratitude, help you feel all of the good things, even if you don't develop a mental health disorder postpartum.
Are those kind of the typical things that you would say why it's actually and how it's preventable? That you kind of like use these techniques and should start early on?
Yeah, there is this amazing psychiatrist. Her name is Dr. Jill Zekowi, and she has done a lot of work in the past 16 years to dive into how can we prevent postpartum depression in women. One of the key things that she has found in her research is sleep. If you can make a plan to somehow work on a plan, a schedule with your partner to try to get 5 hours of sleep, the outcomes for you to not develop a postpartum mood disorder are so much greater. Sleep deprivation can be a huge trigger. Also, going into pregnancy, just understanding if you have some factors that make you more at risk. Do you have a family history of mental health disorders? Do you personally have a history of mental health disorders? Did you have like a high risk or a stressful pregnancy? Like, there are factors that you can know going into your pregnancy, going into postpartum, that will help you know, like, oh, I am at higher risk. A good example is like if you experience insomnia when you are pregnant, that is one of the risk factors for postpartum anxiety postpartum.
Mm,
So there are definitely things that we can do to
interesting.
say, like, hey, let's just prepare. You might
Yeah.
not, but you have some risk factors and we can do some things to prevent it. And if you do like end up with postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, even postpartum OCD, it's treatable. But the sooner we can get this app in your hands, the sooner you can realize something's going on and the sooner we can get you help. That's going to be a better outcome for everyone.
So would you say that actually like soon to be parents should start before delivery and should ideally like the preparations should start while you're still
Yeah, if I could like wave my magic wand
Yeah.
and like I would love for like parents to be able to download the Village 4 app when they're starting to enter like that third trimester to start tracking like any symptoms that you might be having because even maternal mental health disorders like are very common. Developing depression while you're pregnant is very common. Anxiety while you're pregnant is very common. But just to know what your baseline is before you give birth is so helpful to understand how things have changed in the postpartum time period.
Because also, like, I think that people don't really talk about like pregnancy is so stressful. It's full of like, especially like, kind of depending on how you got there, you might have been dealing with fertility issues,
Yes.
with a miscarriage, whatever. So, like, already, like, you're finally pregnant. And then it just feels like every milestone is this like, we made it. Okay, we made it. Okay, next one, we made it. And it's just like, okay, at what point can I finally relax? And then in the end, it's like, okay, but now we're talking about how much can go wrong during delivery. What do I want? Let's prepare for all the scenarios out there. What do I want? What do I not want? And it's just one after the
Yes.
other. It's really just, you might get a little bit of a break in the second trimester where you can be in your
Yeah.
little bliss, but like the first is stressful, the last is stressful. And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah. When you get to the point where you're starting to like do kick counts and you're like, got to keep track of how much the baby is moving. I'm like, I
It's
have so
awful.
much anxiety. And it's just like building because then you're like starting to worry about birth. Am I going to go into labor spontaneously? What's going to happen? And then you just are like diving headfirst into postpartum. So you're completely right. It's,
Got the kid counting. That was the
oh my
worst.
gosh,
I
I know.
remember one of my girlfriends, she was just a few months behind me, and she was like, "I haven't been able to feel her. What do I do? Do I go?"
I
It's so
know.
stressful. It's like, what do
It's
they put in your head? It's just
Oh my
it's a
gosh,
lot.
it's so
Yeah.
stressful. And like if you're working on top of that, like
Yeah.
preparing for a maternity leave, it is just like what is
Mhm.
happening. So it is an interesting time.
Very interesting. So, in your ideal world, basically, there would be a referral from OBs while you're pregnant that kind of gets you onboarded in your third trimester, if not before, so you can really start learning the tools while you hopefully have more time as well, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
learning a new app, learning a new habit is so hard in the newborn phase. I mean, let's be real. You're happy
Yeah.
about every minute you can sleep, so I feel like then starting to implement something new would be really difficult. So you would say in your ideal world, it would happen a lot earlier.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was hard for me to grasp was like, why are there 15 different apps I can download to track like what size fruit my baby is at every point in this
True.
pregnancy? I can track what my baby's doing. And then there's just nothing for the mom. There's nothing for you
Mm,
postpartum. There's no apps to like track how you are doing and what's going on with you. And so exactly, I think just like starting that habit with a mental health app for yourself in the third trimester would hopefully ease some of that anxiety as you're like
mhm.
transitioning in of like how it's going to be how you're going to feel postpartum because we can provide you with all that content to help you like prepare yourself mentally.
Yeah.
And then by the time you give birth, you know what to do.
Yeah, hopefully, absolutely. So, when it comes to like postpartum depression overall and anything like related, is there anything that you kind of like wish more providers, parents, friends would know about to help? Because another whole, like when I think of Village 4, your name just kind of like, it always, like people always say it takes a village, but at the same time, it can be very isolating and very overwhelming and just feeling like you are alone in the situation. So, is there anything that you wish that kind of the support system would know more about or would do more?
Yeah. I think I wish a lot more people knew like the statistic is 1 in 5 women will develop a postpartum mood disorder. That has actually increased. It used to be 1 in 7, it's now 1 in 5. And unfortunately, in my opinion, I feel like we're just filling the pipeline of women who are more predisposed to have this struggle. So I just wish that more like supportive people in the lives of pregnant women knew like dropping off a meal is nice, holding the baby is nice, but we really need to like surround the mom and check in on her And a text at night can go really far. Just know that the nighttime is the scariest time for a new mom. So you can check in on her and just send her a text in like right around nighttime and just tell her like that you're there for her. I think that will go a lot farther than just coming over in the middle of the day to hold the baby.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really, really true because I also think that it's like at least that was my personal experience. No one really talked about all like the bad things, but then afterwards they tell you, "Well, I didn't want to scare you." But to me, it's like I'd rather know so I know once it happens, I'm not crazy. Because I
Yeah.
truly felt crazy. I just was like, I can't handle my emotions. My hormones all over the place. I cry all the time. And then this whole pressure of like breastfeeding and
Oh,
everything. And it's
yeah.
just so overwhelming to just be able to vent to a mom. And like all you have to do is hold space and say, it sucks, it hurts, you're exhausted, and like, what can I do for you? To just because you just can't get that validation from your
No,
partner or even like
no.
your parents-in-law. Like, usually they're
Yeah.
probably not the ones to talk to. For them, it's so far, right? It's so long ago. So, like, having that friend is kind of like, is that something that your app provides as well? Like, some kind of like community? What do you offer in terms of that?
Yeah. So you can add as many people as you want to join your village. So that could be like, hey, I have six of my girlfriends I'm going to add to this. And they can get like casual updates on you, like, hey, Kate is 1 week postpartum today. Do you have like any encouragement for her?
Oh, cute.
Things
Okay.
like that. But I think you're completely right. If someone had just told me, like, hey, if you can make it through breastfeeding for the first 30 days, it's going to get better. No one
Yeah.
told me that. And so I just remember thinking, like, this is going to be the rest of my life. And I don't know what I've done to myself. How can I do this forever? And what you realize when you become a seasoned mom is like nothing in motherhood lasts forever.
Yeah.
But as a new mom or every time you welcome a new baby, you forget that. And it just feels like you're so deep in the waves of like trying to take care of this new baby and trying to recover that you just forget that it's going to get better and it's not going to be like that forever.
Everything is temporary. I feel like that's what always like what everyone says. But then also at the same time, there's a lot of pressure, I think. If you have any friends that, have kids around the same time or social media where it just feels like, oh, but like, why am I struggling? Why does this feel so hard for me? So and so seems to be just watching Netflix and loving this newborn bubble and being in their newborn bliss situation. Why do I not feel that way? And I think that's really like a hard phase, this comparison and this guilt, and it's just like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. That is one of the tools in the app that's really near and dear to my co-founder is that community tool where you can talk to other moms within the
Okay, you
platform as
can.
well. Not just
Awesome.
people that you know, but
Yeah.
we can connect you to other members of the community who are probably awake at 2 a.m. the same time as you, rocking their baby to sleep and just need someone to chat with. So there are definitely like community tools there where you can find other moms and chat with them.
That's beautiful. So if it just I need to vent to someone
Yeah.
who understands, you can do it there more anonymously than maybe to your friend that is living the
Yeah.
newborn bliss.
Yeah.
And you feel like, yeah, you just feel understood.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I really love that. That seems so amazing. So, in terms of kind of like the app where you're at, where is it like what stage are you in? What correct challenges are you facing right now?
Yeah, so we currently have the beta version of the app. We're doing this amazing research study with researchers at Virginia Commonwealth University, the same PhDs who developed the new Edinburgh survey that we're using. And they are doing a survey on the UX of the app to test if it will be a useful tool for moms. And what we're going to do with that research result is apply for grants from the National Institute of Mental Health to help us get it into development. If you are interested in seeing the early version of the app, you can sign up to take that survey and you can see all of the tools we're building. Give us the feedback on it. What's great about that is like you could be a mom like listening right now thinking like I wish I had that or I would love to have that. You can help us like change what we're developing. You can give us your opinions, give us your feedback, and we can implement it before the app goes live. So if you go to our website, which is village4.com, you can sign up to take the research survey. It's like a 15-minute survey. You'll see all the tools I've talked about. Give us your feedback on them. The app is currently in development right now, so we're hoping by January it will be available in the App Store for download.
Okay, so right now I can only do the survey, but I can't actually try it out myself. Okay. All right. So what's kind of like holding it's really just getting the grant, finding the right
Yeah.
team to push it to development and just yeah. Okay. All
Yep.
right.
So right now we're like chicken or the egg. Are we going to get this developed first or are we going to get funding first? So we are in active conversations to get some funding to speed up the process. We're working with our research team at VCU to get the research survey done. And we are also like developing the app, coding it as we speak. So
Yeah. That's
kind of
super
running all three races
exciting.
at once. Yeah, we're really
Yeah,
excited.
absolutely. But right now, like moms can really help you if they take the survey and kind of really give you feedback because then you are more likely to also get the grant because you have all the data from real people. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And the survey will ask you questions like, would this tool have helped you postpartum?
Mhm.
And then, if we get good feedback on that, then that increases the chances that we will receive a grant because it's looking like this could be a really good tool to help moms. So, depending on what comes back from that survey is like where we'll go next. We might go back and edit the UX of the app a little bit more. We might be like, "Hey, we're ready to finish development and launch this thing."
That's amazing. Is there like a time limit by when people have to do the survey or no?
Nope, it's open-ended as of right now.
Okay.
And we really wanted to take this approach because we really wanted to be data focused in how we're
Mhm.
developing this. And so that's why like the more moms that can tell us like if it seems like it will be helpful or not, the better because then we can make an even better tool before we get it into the app store.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. This was incredible. And I can't wait to use it, hopefully, for baby number 2, because I wish I had a tool like that in my pocket. It would have been so helpful. So, yeah, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, we're so excited. And anyone who wants to like follow along, you can find us on social media. It's Village4, VILLAGEFOR.
Amazing. Thank you.